The Indo-Gangetic Plain is also known as the Northern Plains and the North Indian River Plain. It is a very large, very fertile area of land that covers most of the northern and eastern India, the most populated parts of Pakistan, parts of southern Nepal, and almost all of Bangladesh. It is named after the two rivers that drain into it, the Indus and the Ganges, and is home to many people of varied religions. It's bordered to the north by the Himalayas, the south by the Vindhya and the Satputra range, and the Chota Nagpur Plateau, and the west by the Iranian Plateau. It is also one of the most populated areas in the entire world, with over 1/7 of the world's population. To the south of the Himalayas and to the north of the peninsula lies the Great Plain of North India. It is an aggradational plain formed by the depositional work of three major river systems, that is the Indus, Ganga and the Brahmaputra. The plain is also known as the Indo-Gangetic Brahmaputra Plain. The Indo-Gangetic Belt is the world's most extensive expanse of uninterrupted alluvial formed by the deposition of silt by the numerous rivers. The plains are flat, making it conducive for irrigation through canals. The area is also rich in groundwater sources. The plains are one of the world's most intensely farmed areas. The main crops grown are rice and wheat, which are grown in rotation. Other important crops grown in the region include maize, sugarcane and cotton. The Indo-Gangetic Plain rank among the world's most densely populated areas. It is almost universally accepted that this vast plain has been formed as a result of filling of a deep depression lying between the peninsular and the Himalayan region of the depositional work of the rivers coming from these two landmasses. However, divergent views have been expressed regarding the origin of this great depression and the process of filling it. Wadia postulates that these plains were originally a deep depression or furrow lying between the peninsula and the mountain region. A great Austrian geologist, Edward Suess, has suggested that a fore deep was formed in the front of high crust waves of the Himalayas as they were checked in their southward advance by inflexible solid landmasses of the peninsula. It rests on the hard and crystalline rocks through which the region is connected to the Himalayan and the peninsular blocks. Sir Sidney Burritt, on the other hand, thinks that the Indo-Gangetic alluvium conceals a great deep rift of fracture in Earth's subcrust several thousand meters deep, the hollow being subsequently filled up by detrital. Such sunken tracts between parallel vertical dislocations are called rift valleys. The rift valley between the Himalayan ranges and the peninsula which gave birth to this plain was about 2,400 km long and hundreds of meters deep. He described some other rift valleys of the Himalayan region as well as the rift valleys of Narmada and Tapi in the peninsular India. Scholars like Hayden and R.D. Odlam as well as other geologists of Geological Survey of India have not accepted Burritt's view of the Indo-Gangetic Depression. The main objection to Burritt's view is that there is no trace of a rift valley at the northern edge of the peninsula and that such a vast rift valley is not possible. According to the recent views expressed by many geologists and geographers, sediment deposited at the bed of Tethys Sea was folded and wrapped due to northward drift of the peninsula. Consequently, the Himalayas and a trough to the south were formed. The Indus-Ganga plains, also known as the Great Plains, are large food plains of the Indus and the Ganga-Brahmaputra river systems. They run parallel to the Himalayan mountains from Jammu and Kashmir in the west to Assam in the east and draining most of northern and eastern India. The plains encompass an area of 700,000 kilometers square and vary in width through their length by several hundred kilometers. The major rivers of this system are the Ganga and the Indus along with their tributaries Beas, Yamuna, Gomti, Ravi, Chambal, Satluj and Chenab. Extent of the Indo-Gangetic plain across South Asia. The Great Plains are sometimes classified into 4 divisions. The first division, the Bharbar Belt. It is adjacent to the foothills of the Himalayas and consists of boulders and pebbles which have been carried down by the river streams. As the porosity of this belt is high, the streams flow underground. The Bharbar is generally narrow, about 17 to 15 km wide. The Terai Belt. It lies next to the Bharbar region and is composed of new alluvium. The underground streams reappear in this region. The region is excessively moist and thickly forested. It also receives heavy rainfall throughout the year and is populated with a variety of wildlife. The Bangar Belt. It consists of older alluvium and forms the alluvial terrace of the floodplains. In the Gangetic plain, it has a low upland covered by laterite deposits. The Khadir Belt. It lies in the lowland areas after the Bhangar Belt. It is made up of fresh, newer alluvium which is deposited by rivers flowing down the plain. The Indus-Ganga Belt is the world's most extensive expanse of uninterrupted alluvium formed by the deposition of silt by numerous rivers. The plains are flat and mostly treeless, making it conductive for irrigation through canals. The area is also rich in groundwater sources. The plains are the world's most intensely farmed areas. The main crops grown are rice and wheat, which are grown in rotation. Others include maize, sugarcane and cotton. The Indo-Gangetic plains rank among the world's most densely populated areas. According to morphology of the northern plain of India, it can be divided into 4 major parts. Owing to the district alluvial deposit and direction of river flow in the area, the 4 divisions are: number 1, the Rajasthan plain; number 2, the Punjab-Haryana plain; number 3, the Ganga plain; and number 4, the Brahmaputra plain. The Rajasthan plain. The western extremity of the Great Plain of India consists of the Thar or the Great Indian Desert, which covers western Rajasthan and the adjoining parts of Pakistan. The desert is about 650 kilometers long and 250 to 350 kilometers wide. Its total area is about 2 lakh square kilometer, out of which 1.75 lakh square kilometer lies in India. About 2/3 of the Indian desert lies in Rajasthan, west of the Aravalli range, and the remaining one-third is in the neighbouring states of Haryana, Punjab and Gujarat. Recently, some geomorphic studies by using remote sensing techniques in conjunction with ground truth were undertaken by the Central Arid Zone Research Institute, Jodhpur. This vast desert is an undulating plain whose average elevation is about 325 meters above mean sea level. It descends to about 150 meter above mean sea level near the Indo-Pak border as well as towards the Indus Valley and the Rann of Kutch. The desert proper is called Marusthali and accounts for greater part of the Marwar plain. The average elevation of the Marusthali is 200 to 250 meters above sea level. The eastern part of Marusthali is rocky while its western part is covered by shifting sand dunes locally known as Dhiryan. The eastern part of the Thar desert up to the Aravalli range is a semi-arid plain which is known as the Rajasthan Bhagar. It runs in a northeast to southwest direction from the edge of the Aravalli in the east to 25 centimeter line joining the places of equal rainfall in the west. It is drained by a number of short seasonal streams originating from the Aravalli and supports agriculture in some patches of fertile tracts called Rohi. Even the important river, the Luni, is a seasonal stream which flows towards the southwest to the Rann of Kutch. The track north to the Luni is known as Thali or Sandy Plain, the Punjab-Haryana Plain. The Great Indian Desert imperceptibly gives way to the fertile plains of the Punjab and Haryana towards the east and northeast. The entire plain extends for a length of 640 kilometers in the northwest to southeast direction and is about 300 kilometer wide in the east-west direction. The general slope is towards southwest. Its elevation varies from 275 meters in the north to 213 meters in the southeast and 176 meters near Fazilka in southwest. The Ravi, the Beas and the Satluj drain only 1/4 of the area of this region. The Yamuna drains only a narrow strip of land lying on its right bank. The Ghaggar, which flows past Jakhal and Sirsa, is a rainy season stream. Apart from the Ghaggar, no other river, perennial or non-perennial, crosses the 362 kilometer long strip of land stretching between Delhi and Fazilka. The Saraswati too poured its water into the Ghaggar. The Ghaggar later dwindled into insignificance because the Satluj changed its course and began to flow westward from Ropar to merge into the Beas. And the headwaters of the Saraswati were captured in stages by the westward shift of the course of Yamuna. In South Aravalli range breaks the monotony of the plain. There are two climatic types, humid subtropical with dry winters and subtropical steppe prevail in this region. The rest of the area, which forms the major part of this plain, has a subtropical steppe climate. A major part of the annual rainfall is received in the months of July, August and September. Western depressions bring a few centimeters of rainfall during the months from December to April. There is 100% electrification of villages and towns of this region. The Ganga Plain. This is the largest unit of the Great Plain of India, stretching from Delhi to Kolkata in the states of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and West Bengal, covering an area of about 3.75 lakh square kilometers. The plain has been named after the river Ganga. The Ganga, along with its large number of tributaries originating in the Himalayan ranges, is the Yamuna, the Gomati, the Ghaghara, the Gandak, the Kosi, etc. have brought large quantities of alluvium from the mountains and deposited here to build this extensive plain. The general slope of the entire plain is to the east and southeast. Depending upon its geographical variations, this plain can be further subdivided into three divisions: the upper Ganga plain, the middle Ganga plain and the lower Ganga plain. The upper Ganga plain. Comprising the upper part of the Ganga plain, this plain is delimited by the 300-meter contour in Shivaliks in the north, the peninsular boundary in the south and the course of Yamuna river in the west. The plain is about 550 kilometers long in the east-west direction and nearly 380 kilometers wide in the north-south direction, covering an approximate area of 1.49 lakh square kilometers. Its elevation varies from 100 to 300 meters above mean sea level. The middle Ganga plain. To the east of the upper Ganga plain is the middle Ganga plain, occupying eastern part of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. It measures about 600 km in east-west and nearly 330 km in north-south direction, accounting for a total area of about 1.44 lakh square kilometer. Its northern and southern boundaries are well defined by the Himalayan foothills and the peninsular edge respectively. The most accepted boundaries are those made by the 100-meter contour in the west, 75-meter contour in the northeast and by 30-meter contour in the southeast. Obviously, this is a very low plain, no part of which exceeds 150 meters in elevation. The plain is drained by the Ghaghara, the Gandak and the Kosi rivers, all tributaries of the Ganga coming from the Himalayas. The lower Ganga plain. This plain includes the Kishanganj Tehsil of Purnia district in Bihar, the whole of West Bengal and most parts of Bangladesh. It measures about 580 km from the foot of the Darjeeling Himalaya in the north to the Bay of Bengal in the south and nearly 200 km from the Chota Nagpur highlands in the west to the Bangladesh border in the east. The total area of this plain is about 81,000 square kilometer. Its width varies greatly and it narrows down to a mere 16 kilometers between the Rajmahal hills and the Bangladesh border. The 50-meter contour roughly corresponds within its western boundary. The Brahmaputra plain. This is also known as the Brahmaputra Valley or Assam Valley or Assam Plain, as most of the Brahmaputra Valley is situated in Assam. Though often treated as the eastern continuation of the Great Plain of India, it is a well demarcated physical unit girdled by the eastern Himalaya of Arunachal Pradesh in the north, Patkai and Naga hills in the east and the Gharu, Khasi, Jaintia and Mikir hills in the south. Its western boundary is formed by the Indo-Bangladesh border as well as by the boundary of the lower Ganga plain. The entire plain covers an area of about 56,000 square kilometer. It is an aggradational plain built by depositional work of the Brahmaputra and its tributaries. The Brahmaputra river enters this plain near Sadia and flows farther to Bangladesh after turning southwards near Dhubri. The general level of the plain varies from 130 meters in the east to 30 meters in the west. The average gradient of the land is 12 centimeter per kilometer in the northeast to southwest direction. The area is well demarcated by 150-meter contour beyond which the surrounding hill terrain dominates the scene. With its fertile alluvial soils, flat surface, slow-moving perennial rivers and favorable climatic conditions, the Indo-Gangetic plain is of great significance. It is the home of about half of the Indian population, although it accounts for less than one-fourth of the total area of the country. The plain supports some of the highest population densities depending purely upon agro-based economy in some of these areas. The extensive use of irrigation has made some parts of this plain, especially Punjab, Haryana and western part of Uttar Pradesh, the granary of India. The entire plain except the Thar desert has a close network of roads and railways which has led to large-scale industrialization and urbanization. The development of trade and commerce in this plain is a natural sequel of industrialization and urbanization. There are many religious places along the banks of the sacred rivers like the Ganga and the Yamuna which are very dear to Hindus. Here flourished the religions of the Buddha and Mahavira and the movements of Bhakti and Sufism. In short, this vast plain is a hot throb of India and constitutes to its very soul. The Indo-Gangetic plain is irrigated by three important rivers, River Ganga, Indus and Brahmaputra. This vast plain is most fertile and productive because of the alluvial soil brought by the streams of the rivers and its tributaries.